Good morning, Malaysia, and welcome back to Bernama today, or rather good afternoon also. And of course today, like I said earlier on, it's our big day out. As a nation, we'll be seeing, or rather witnessing once again, the tabling of budget, another budget. This time around will be budget 2015. That's going to be happening later on today. But joining me in the studio right now, it's not a pre-budget show of some sort. It's just us wanting to know some extra information or added information or little things we need to know about budget 2015. And she's taken time off to be with us. Jennifer Chang from PricewaterhouseCoopers joins us this morning. Jennifer, a very good morning to you. And thank you very much for joining as well. With this, of course, usually during the budget or the time of the budget, you get people saying so many things. There are a lot of speculation based on what's going to be happening or what's to come. At this point, everyone's worried about the fact that things may go up, prices of houses may go up. What is the tone, or what is the pulse you're feeling from out there with regards to what may happen next year?
Yeah. You're right. I think if you have a look at the newspapers and the press, you find that there seems to be a lot of statements being made by various quarters, including individuals, you know, whether it's on Facebook or on their own blog, about the worry that prices may go up because of the GST that will be implemented by the government on the 1st of April 2015. Well, to a certain extent, it really depends on what products we're talking about. Because as you know, currently, we already have service tax at 6% and sales tax at 10%. So to a certain extent, you know, you may find that on some products, prices may potentially go down. That's a key word.
But when you said potentially go down, will it significantly?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because if we compare sales tax of 10%, and GST of 6%, if you're expecting a 4% reduction, that may not happen because the difference in the tax system is that sales tax is just basically a once-off tax, whereas GST is a multi-stage tax. That means at every stage in the chain, you may have a supplier selling to somebody, someone selling to another person.
Okay, let's make this a little easier for those of us who don't understand this or are not tax people. At every stage, so let's take a simple supply chain and try to see this through that supply chain. So what would it be from, let's say, cattle? Okay, if you say you're selling beef in the market, so how do you in that supply chain at every stage, from the time the cow or cattle is slaughtered to the time it gets to the market on the shelves, at each level it's going to be charged 6%.
Yes, that's right. I mean, maybe cattle is not a good example because it could be zero rated.
Okay, it could be zero rated.
So we're talking about, let's say this table, all right? This table, you know, somebody who is going to be selling this table, you need to think about the start. When the manufacturer actually starts producing the table, they will need to buy wood, they will need to buy glass and all that sort of stuff.
So that will be charged, so 6% for wood, 6% for glass?
That's right. So the manufacturer will then need to do whatever they need to do to construct this table, and they will have a margin, a profit margin.
And there'll be 6% added to that.
There will be 6% added to that, even though they can claim back the taxes that they have paid on the wood and the glass and all that, but the margin will still be subjected to that additional 6%. So it's an input and output system. So at every single level, there will be inputs and outputs. Inputs you can claim against the output tax, but ultimately the margin at every stage, the profit margin, will still be subjected to that 6%. So ultimately, the consumer will have to pay for that in total.
So generally, everyone will have to know a little bit more about taxation and what to claim for and things like that.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that for businesses, how do you make it easier for them? Is there a software in place for that?
Yeah, sure. There are a lot of software suppliers, IT vendors that are able to assist, sell you the programs, assist you to implement. So there are people out there that's able to help.
So why do you think, I don't know if you read about this, but why do you think SMEs are still taking time to warm up to the GST? Because they have to be registered by year end, and only a certain percentage have done it so far.
Well, I don't know, maybe it's the mentality that we still have time, right? After all,
wait for the last day, wait till the last day.
Exactly. You know, it's quite common, I think, in Malaysian mentality.
I did that in my taxes this year.
Yeah. So it could be a little bit of that. I think some people are also, looking at the budget today to see, what's going to happen before they register. But I do know that quite a few people have already registered, although of course not as high a number as what the government was expecting. But I think as the next 2 months, you will see a lot more people registering.
Right.
Yeah.
And with the budget, or with the budget 2015, what do you think would be the main thrust of budget 2015?
Yeah.
Well, they say it's going to be a budget for the rakyat. So what do you think would be the main thrust?
Well, I'm not expecting there to be any major surprises because to a certain extent, with GST coming in, really I would think that this budget, the government may be thinking about how to help the rakyat in trying to cope with potential, higher cost of living, inflation, and as well as how the government is pulling back the subsidies as well. So the reality is that I think this budget may potentially focus very much about how to help the rakyat on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it will be focused on according to it, it's going to be nothing surprising, but it's going to see how we can work together and make things easier for the public at large, at least. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, with that, another thing that's on people's minds is the rising cost of living, especially with the announcement of the GST. And I don't know, some people say that the lack of knowledge with regards to the GST only brings about this anxiety about what's to come. Do you think that's true?
I think yes. I think it's true because GST is a tax system which a lot of us are not used to. We're very used to what we earn multiplied by a certain rate.
Right.
But GST, as I've said earlier, is a multi-stage system where there's inputs and outputs. So businesses are the collector of the GST on behalf of the customs authorities. Will need to have administrative system in place to be able to net off your tax collected and the tax you've paid every month. So to a certain extent, if there's fear that prices are going to rise for every single thing, I don't think that will be true, because the government has actually a long list of items which are zero rated. Like your rice, your sugar, your chicken, these are all zero rated. So technically those shouldn't go up in prices.
Right. So what we're saying is that if you're a spendthrift, then it's going to affect you. If you're not, it doesn't. So you just need to be a bit prudent. But with that too, with regards to the GST, some people are for it, some people say it's not going to work. But if you look at most countries in the world, and I keep using Australia as a reference because I was there during the implementation back in '98.
Wow.
They implemented the GST then.
Yes.
If it's not a workable system, why are many countries using it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, what you've observed is very true. GST is in quite a lot of countries. In fact, in the whole of Asia, you find that most countries have got it, with the exception of Malaysia and maybe one or two others. But mainly, a lot of countries have got that system. Yeah, I think the crux of it is really about the government collecting more revenue, right, to reduce the budget deficit, and the extra revenue they've collected. How are they going to channel it? How are they going to channel it into programs which will benefit the rakyat, that will build the nation in areas that we really need? For example, improving our education system, our healthcare, and all that area.
So it then goes back to, well, the monies which are needed will be collected, but it goes back to the transparency of how these monies are going to be used. But we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and try to understand further a little bit more about taxes with regards to budget 2015. More importantly, for the 1-point-something million of those of us who are paying taxes, what does this mean for us? We've been paying taxes for years. Will it be easier on us upon the implementation of the GST? We'll come back and find out. We're currently speaking to Jennifer Chang from PricewaterhouseCoopers right here on Bernama Today. Stay with us. We'll be back just after a short break. Welcome back to Bernama Today. We're talking about Budget 2015. Of course, we're not doing earth-shattering stuff here. All we're trying to do is make sense out of Budget 2014 and what we can expect from it. Joining me in the studio is Jennifer Chang from PricewaterhouseCoopers. She's taken time off and graciously come here to help us talk about this today? Well, I was talking about taxes, and for those of us who pay our taxes promptly and on time on a yearly basis, what does this mean for all of us?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you know, people like us that pay taxes, and I think the statistics show that there's only about 1.5 or 6 million, right, that pays the taxes. It will mean that the government has broadened the tax base so that more people will be sharing the burden of having to pay the taxes, because every single time someone spends, potentially there will be GST, unless the product is zero rated or exempted, right? So in that sense, there will be more people sharing, you know, the need to pay the taxes. But it also means that in order to basically help people to have the money to spend, the government last budget announced that they will reduce personal income tax rates, right? So that people like you and me who pay income tax will not be too burdened with having to pay income tax as well as pay the GST when we spend.
Right.
So last year they announced that they will actually reduce the personal income tax rate between 1 to 3% across the different bands, increase the banding as well, so that it slowly gets into the higher rate, you know. So for example, the highest rate right now is 26%, it will actually go down to 1%. Right. So in that sense, I think this budget probably will be a confirmation of that reduction of tax rate, and hopefully government may even give some increase in rebates that we can claim when we file our income tax return. So it means that we potentially will have more money in our pocket and not pay as much income tax as we would normally do.
Well, with regards to taxation on houses, what's been done? Measures have been taken last year. I mean, you know, a lot of foreign people from foreign countries coming in and buying property. That was one of the bigger problems with the change in what do you call it? The tax differences, so on and so forth. Have we seen a significant change in that? Because last year we came up with some new measures. That's
right. That's right. Last year, I think in order to cool the property prices and have some sort of measures, the government actually increased the real property gains tax rate to 30% maximum. So it's a rate of between well, individuals 0 to 30, companies is 5 to 30%, in the hope that there will not be so many speculators in the property market. I think that's the first thing. Second thing was also they abolished the DIBS, the DIBS system, which is the developer's interest-bearing system. In other words, when you're buying a property, while the property is being built, rather than you having to service the interest cost to the bank, it gets picked up for you. Right. So to a certain extent, I would say that yes, it has worked. You find that there's a little bit of cooling off in the property market and the property sector. Of course, demand is still high in certain areas, but there is definitely a cooling off. Right.
For me, I'm not a tax person, and for most of us watching, we are not tax people. As a person who deals with tax on a daily basis, you know, you can crunch numbers like nothing. What do you think we should know? What would be the take home for us, or points that stand out for us, or things we should look at when it comes to, once the budget is tabled, what should we look out for? Well, the general public. Well,
I think a lot of it has got to do with what would be announced today, end of today. I think certain things to look forward to, of course, is a reduction in personal tax rate. Hopefully we will get some rebates in our tax returns, like for example, rebates for childcare, rebates for taking care of our aged parents. So we are hoping that some of these things will be increased, the rebate for us. So then after that, it's really about being very selective in terms of how you spend your money, where you put your money in. One of the other areas I'm hoping that the government will have some sort of initiative is for people's retirement, because we are,
Tell me about it. I'll be 45 next year and I'm starting to worry already.
We are not we're sort of an aging, it's an aging population. I think there was a statistics that says that in 20 years time, you have quite a lot of aged people in Malaysia. So I think a lot of people need to start saving for retirement.
In 20 years, that will be the both of us in our generation. So if you are my classmate, be careful.
So I think having more measures to encourage people to save and having more incentives along those lines would be very good. Yeah.
Right, so having people to save. So start saving. That's one of the big advices that's been given out. Don't wait till the last day to save, because you can't. It's not like paying taxes like we usually do. And on that note, while speaking about taxes, I'd like to personally thank people at the Inland Revenue Board. I think they've been doing a fantastic job. The only people in the equation that were making things tough for us whilst paying our taxes were ourselves, all getting there on the last day, expecting things to be done at the speed of light. So once again, thank you very much, the IRB, and thank you so much for joining us, Jennifer. We do hope to have you back at some stage probably in the next week to probably talk to us or tell us a little bit more about taxes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have her here, Jennifer Chang, joining us from PricewaterhouseCoopers to help us understand the budget. Just talk a little bit about the budget before we actually bring on the tabling of the budget right here on Bernama TV. On behalf of the team, Bernama Today team, I'm Jared Ratnam signing off. Enjoy the rest of the day, and also like the rest of Malaysia, let's see what happens with Budget 2015, and we'll be back on Monday to talk about it a little more and to make us understand things a little better with regards to the upcoming budget or Budget 2015, which is to be tabled later on today. Have a great day ahead.